India is balancing multiple relations, China, Russia, the United States of America. So how exactly does Germany fit into this balancing of strategic partnerships? Und eine Frage an Herrn Minister Wadepool. Sie haben auf der Anreise nach Indien gesagt, dass Indien ein sehr wichtiger Partner ist für Deutschland, aber auch ein nicht immer einfacher Partner. Was genau würden Sie sich denn anders wünschen oder vielleicht besser wünschen? Danke.
I thought we were quite easy, but he agreed. But look, the fact is today, we have, I'm now speaking from an Indian perspective, we have important strategic relationships with a number of countries. And it's in the nature of global politics or global strategy today that each one of these relationships would be maintained and you would optimize them. So to me, both Germany in itself and Germany as the biggest country of the European Union are obviously central to the calculations and to the relationships that we have in the world. So, I mean, if you look at it by virtually any metric, I mean, whether it is economic, whether it is political, we were, among the other things we didn't get to mention here, except Johan did at the end of his remarks, we are two countries who are also, as part of the G4, trying to change the, trying to bring about a reform of the Security Council and of the UN itself. So, for us, this is an enormously important relationship. This relationship is growing in substance. And I can see at this time of uncertainties that actually it has a greater value. It's a very steady relationship. It is a relationship where largely what we promise to each other and policies that we have remain constant and remain predictable. So, predictability today has a huge premium in global politics. So I do think that, this relationship is actually only growing in its weight and its value. And part of the reason why we have met so regularly, even in the last few months, and spoken to each other is because of that.
Kann die gleichen Worte auf Deutsch wiederholen.
You've taken the words out of my mouth, so basically I'm repeating them in German now, saying what you said. You could say, as I've tried to impress earlier, India equals Asia for us, and Germany and the European Union, in a way, are equivalent for India. It is of immense importance, as has become obvious today during our talks, that India plays a very important part. And though we both have our own political positions and political priorities, but when it comes to democratic principles and regulatory steps, both our countries and both our markets tend to be very diligent and adhering to certain details. Sometimes we could make it easier for the other side to engage in the respective market. And we've underlined that in our discussions today, and I think we both have our homework to do in that regard. When you look at the history of India, it is more than obvious that at the time when I was young and went to school and later studied at university, I got to know India as a non-aligned country. Of course, that has left its mark on this country and distinguishes this country from Germany, which has always been a part of NATO, part of the Western world. And during the Cold War, we were in confrontation with the then Soviet Union. And unfortunately, and I deplore that fact, because we thought we'd overcome that, but we are back in a situation, we've not been able to overcome this, back in a situation where we're confronting Russia, have a confrontation between Russia and the Europe because international law is being violated there. We find us again in this situation, and India finds itself in a different situation. So that is a challenge to talk about these matters, or rather not to talk about these matters, but to always reach a perfect agreement on all of these issues. But that's obvious, that's what is to be expected, and I don't think it's something bad, because in so many other areas we totally agree. And we have this reliability and predictability of the respective partner country, which plays such an enormous part, and of which we know that this is a clear political stance of India to contribute to bringing about a process for peace in Ukraine as quickly as possible. Again, here we see eye to eye. And I try to convey that when I traveled here. But I totally agree with my colleague that this talk has not only been an easygoing talk, it has been also very fruitful and took place in a spirit of friendship. And I returned to Germany much encouraged as a consequence.
Okay, thank you. Pranay?
So I have two questions, both to Foreign Minister of Germany and Foreign Minister of India. So, Mr. Wadipul, my question to you is that on Russia-Ukraine conflict, do you support the idea of using tariffs as a tool to on third country to persuade or to pressure Russia and Ukraine to bring a ceasefire? And are you only, Germany and Europe, only working with the Mr. Donald Trump-led ceasefire initiative, or you have come with some new ideas to work with countries like India, with whom President Putin and President Zelensky both are keeping active contacts? And to External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar, you know that I'm sure you must have discussed the unreasonable, unjustified, unfair tariffs with the German Foreign Minister. But what assurance did you get from the Germany, and especially from the EU side, to accommodate the Indian products and accommodate the Indian export? And as he rightly pointed out, that if someone is putting unreasonable tariff and barriers, we should lower it down. So what are the concrete assurances did you get?
We'll take one more question. So please go ahead.
Ja, vielen Dank, Andreas Künast vom ZDF.
Thank you, Andreas Künast, Second German Television. Both ministers, Minister Wadipul said that he had asked you to make use of your good services and offices to impress upon Russia that we need to see peace come about. What was your response? Will you play your part even more will you engage even more? Herr Wadipul, eine Frage an Sie. Wird die Position Indiens sich ändern, was den Erwerb von russischem Öl anbetrifft?
Ja, ich fange gerne an. Also,
I'm happy to begin.
wir verfolgen ja in diesem Konflikt
In this conflict,
von vornherein eine Politik,
we have right from the outset been pursuing a policy that has the objective of
den Verhandlungsweg finden.
Russia and Ukraine following the path of negotiations. However, what we have noticed of late is that despite the enormous efforts that the American president has invested, Russia has not been willing to sit down at the negotiating table, whereas the Ukrainian President Zelensky, has expressed his immediate readiness to negotiate and sit down at the negotiation table. In a way, it has taken a first step. And we're talking a country that has been attacked without it having done anything to trigger that attack. The only demand is that weapons fall silent, no more than that. And I think that that is a reasonable precondition for people to engage in serious and genuine peace negotiations. As far as that is concerned, that is a clear German approach and European approach, that we want to do whatever we can to make President Putin sit down at the negotiating table. As far as Europe is concerned, this includes sanctions being imposed on Russia. We have not used tariffs, but it was sanctions that we have imposed on Russia, so as to ensure that Russia, which has to fund its war, will be less able to do so. That we took certain steps and measures. There have been several packages of sanctions that we've imposed, amongst them the so-called oil price cap. The purpose being that we want to withdraw the financial basis that Russia has and that enables it to wage this war. But at the same time, it has been of great importance to us to ensure that there are no bottlenecks when it comes to countries supplying itself with the energy they need, and that there are no unreasonable increases in prices. But it is, of course, not the purpose has not been that Russia uses detours but manages to get its oil to us, and we therefore took appropriate measures to prevent that. But the objective of our policies has been to bring about negotiations. So we've been targeted in our approach, targeting our steps to make it more difficult for Russia to fund its warfare. And the quicker we can get the parties to sit down at the negotiation table, the quicker or the sooner the moment will come for us to lift these measures or adapt them.
Regarding, what we discussed between India and Europe and India and Germany on economic issues, trade issues. Look, our conversations and our negotiations predate anything which has happened this year. It's something which has been going on for multiple years. And it's in our mutual interest that we lower tariffs and we find other ways of expanding our business and economic cooperation. Obviously, in today's climate, those efforts acquire a greater urgency. That's quite apparent. But it is an ongoing conversation, and I share the minister's desire, and in a way, I would even say optimism, that we would like now the FTA negotiations. We hope that another round takes place fairly soon. We would like this to move to a decisive conclusion in the coming days, and we believe that this would be in our mutual interest. It will help stabilize the global economy. It will be a big factor there. It will be a kind of one of the elements of a ballast which today the world economy